So, have you ever written something that's, grammatically perfect, but it just doesn't sound right? It's a super common problem. Well, today we're going to crack that code. We're diving into the book Academic Writing, Simple Concepts and Easy Skills by Mohammed AbdEllah to build ourselves an advanced vocabulary toolkit. We're going way beyond just single words here, and we're going to explore the phrases and the strategic choices that create that really fluent, professional-sounding writing.
Yeah, it's a feeling I think a lot of us know all too well, right? You've checked your grammar, you've used all the right vocabulary words, but your writing still feels kind of off, a little clunky, just not quite academic. Well, the answer lies in mastering this sort of hidden chemistry of language, and that is exactly what we are going to break down today.
Okay, let's get right into our toolkit. We're going to start with what I think is the single most important tool for natural-sounding language, collocations. Seriously, think of these as the absolute bedrock of academic fluency. Getting these right, it's a total game changer.
So what in the world is a collocation? Well, at its heart, it's basically a word partnership. It's like some words are best friends. They just naturally belong together. Through years and years of frequent use, they've formed this tight bond, and native speakers just use them automatically without even thinking about it. So this isn't about some rigid grammar rule. It's all about what instinctively sounds right and what conveys your meaning with total precision.
Okay, here's a perfect example. Is it technically wrong to say you do research? Not really. But does it sound academic? Absolutely not. The correct, much more professional collocation is conduct research. See? That one small change instantly elevates the entire tone of your writing.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the sheer scale of this whole thing. I mean, researchers Kirsten Ackerman and Yu Chen actually put together something called the Academic Collocation List. And you got to hear this, they identified nearly 2,500 of these essential word partnerships that are constantly used in academic English. That just shows you collocations aren't just some minor stylistic thing. They are a core, fundamental part of the language itself. And these partnerships, they come in a few key forms. For instance, you've got adjective plus noun pairs like alternative approach, or verb plus noun pairs like analyze data. And then you have adverb plus verb combos like carefully examine. Once you start mastering these different patterns, you suddenly have this incredible range of precise professional language you can use in your work. All right, on to our second tool, idioms. But wait, before we even define what they are, I've got to put up a huge caution sign here. Because while idioms can be really powerful, in academic writing, they are a high-risk, high-reward tool that you have to handle with extreme care.
So what exactly is an idiom? Basically, it's an expression where the real meaning is totally different from the literal meaning of the words. It's kind of like a linguistic shortcut, but it's one that only works if everyone shares the same cultural understanding. And that, right there, is exactly where the danger lies for an academic writer.
Let's take a common one you see in academia, shed light on. Literally, that means, shining a lamp on something. But figuratively, it means to clarify or explain something. It's a fantastic phrase, but only if your reader gets that figurative meaning. So here's the bottom line, the hard and fast rule. If you are going to use an idiom, it absolutely must be globally understood. You have to avoid anything that's specific to just one country or one culture. And honestly, overusing them can just make your writing sound informal. Plus, if your international audience doesn't get the reference, you've just created confusion instead of clarity. So remember the golden rule. When in doubt, just leave it out. Okay, our final tool for today is a little different. This one isn't so much about sounding natural or adding flair. It's all about sounding objective. Generic terms. These are your secret weapon for achieving that detached, professional tone that's just so critical in academic work. So what are they? Well, they're these broad general words that refer to a whole category of things, not just one specific item. The whole point is to avoid getting personal or overly specific. Instead, use these terms to maintain a formal, almost scientific distance from your topic. Let's look at some really great examples. So for people, instead of saying something casual like the people we interviewed, you'd use a more formal term like participants or subjects. For things, you might use item or artifact. The great thing about these words is that they're precise without being too descriptive, and that keeps the focus right where it should be, on the data and your analysis. And here you can see how it works in a real sentence. See that generic term, participants? It's so clear, it's objective, and it's formal.
It just reports the findings without adding any extra, unnecessary, or informal language. It really just lets the data speak for itself. So there you have it. That's our advanced toolkit. We've got our 3 key tools: collocations, idioms, and generic terms. But of course, the real question is, how do you actually start using them? Well, it really comes down to a simple 3-step process. Step 1 is to notice. As you're reading academic articles, don't just read for the content, actively hunt for these collocations and generic terms. Step 2 is to practice. Consciously pick just one new collocation and make it a point to use it in your next piece of writing. And finally, step 3, review. When you're editing your own work, do a specific check just for objectivity. Ask yourself, where could a generic term make this even stronger? You know, mastering these tools isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a continuous process of noticing, practicing, and refining. So as we wrap this up, the real question I want to leave you with is this: what new word partnership, what new piece of your linguistic toolkit are you gonna master next?